eating them?
Unlike certain people who cause chaos because they don't seem to think about anything before they do whatever they think will get them the most attention or whatever they particularly want in the moment, there seems to be those who hold on to things for at least a decent amount of time. And when the need arises, they pull that trump card out to cut the balls off a man who's so desperate for money, they'll be willing to cut those balls off themselves.
I'm considering selling my testicles. They're biologically inert anyway, so kids aren't in the cars for me, and they go roughly for $15K per ball. Never mind, illegal in the US.
It's time to talk about the Exiled mod from Himpleton's server. And from my understanding at this point in time, Himpleton's point of contact, why he was working on his mental health after his first breakdown, looking into the details surrounding why he got kicked to the curb by Himpleton and a couple of other communities. There was more to it than I could have even guessed at first. I Cthulu is what I'm going to be referring to him as. Thinking on that, is that even the correct pronoun? If you're thinking he's trans, you would be wrong, because I Cthulu is one of the few people who lost the genetic lottery and was born with neither XY nor XX chromosomes, but with XXY instead. So it probably is a little fitting that the best source of the initial claim can be found on X. Publicly, this was the first accusation against I Cthulu, dropping the scam claim. Parody, Savior, hello. It's time to talk publicly about I Cthulu, aka Tentacle, which is how I will be referring to him for the premise of this tweet. Tentacle has scammed. First of all, I think this person should learn the definition of the word scammed, because this doesn't meet any definition of scam that I know. What does it mean to be scammed? To trick someone into giving you money or giving you some advantage in some dishonest and often illegal way. There's nothing in the screenshots provided by either party who makes this claim that I Cthulu did any of his asking for money in a dishonest, deceptive, or illegal way. It's called repeatedly asking for money at best and begging at worst. Still, this type of mental gymnastics should be expected from someone who would use a parody account of a person that they would respect the pronouns of.
Guy, I thought it was a he, him.
Yeah,
Bro, not a guy. No,
I might have to actually
my
kick you from the
apologies.
call.
I fucked up. Don't you fucking start with me on that shit. I fucked up. That's a guy. They're just trans. Okay?
Before totally laying into them in a blood sports Discord call.
The
Did
fact
I
that
did
knowing
not ask you for
they
help,
were-
Ollie? When you had
you
help,
did.
did
And
I
guess
not
what?
ask?
I did.
You
know what
didn't
I did? I got
You
Ga- I
didn't help.
shut the fuck up for a long ass time. I had Gabriel shutting the fuck up. You want to know why? Because he couldn't fucking argue with me. He couldn't argue with the fact that he just proved that he was a fucking pedophile. I did my work and then I moved on. I might have not done a stream, but guess what? I don't need to do a stream on every single fucking pedophile I go after.
Oh, and look whose channel it's on. The person I briefly mentioned in my last video in this series. I saw morale pop up on Flatley streams twice. Might have been on more, but one of them was to try to convince Burn the World that he shouldn't be friends with Himpleton because Himpleton's a snake. He might be right on that point, but that still seems like something this Burn character should decide for himself. There's also no mention of I Cthulu being second command of the group that this parody account is a leader of. This description can be found in the second X thread talking about I Cthulu, made by Parody Xavier, aka Ollie's close personal friend Chloe. Let me stop before I get too far to give some background information on some of these individuals, because frankly, I didn't know much about them before I started to look into this myself. And there's very little currently on the internet to actually find out much about them. So Hellcast was a group of self-styled pedo hunters, supposedly, with their leader, Ollie. In one of the few videos I can find, Ollie explains it himself.
I always try my best to support the LGBT as a member myself, and my fiance also is trans. So, I happen to dabble a few bit into the trans right activism. So, yeah, and, catch me supporting the LGBT.
You got a bit of a shoe in the race.
Oh, absolutely. Back whenever I originally went to college, my degree was originally going to be in political advocacy. So, I had the idea, like, you know what? I want to go to school for that. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Fuck nah. Fuck that. I don't want to deal with it that much.
That's a big mood. Before we get too far into it, would you mind introducing yourself to chat? Name, pronouns, that kind of thing?
Hello, everybody in chat. My name is Oliver Wren. I go by he, they, them, whatever the fuck you want to feel like calling me. I don't really care. So, yeah, I am the host of a couple of different podcasts. I have the Vision Project as well as Hellcast. Hellcast has been disbanded, but, I still hunt.
In the link to that same video, you click on the link to his X account, it's suspended. And as for the Twitch account link, there's only one video of any substance titled Xylie called out for false allegations, where Ollie goes over a bit of an angry slug video. Angry Slug being someone himself with a rather infamous history on YouTube. You should look him up if you're interested in diving down that crazy rabbit hole. But I got this own one going for me now. Let's see what we can get out of just this.
If you're going to make claims about someone, xylie, then you should probably state who the fuck made them, because your sources may be off.
Yeah, that's kind of important. So you need to actually credibility.
Yeah, so it's okay for people.
I don't know why this is on Xylie, because she was trying to run down claims she was finding out about in the moment, verifying certain things, and it was Slug who released all this shit publicly. But it seems Ollie wants to know where the claim came from. That makes me think that this could have been true, and Ollie wants to know pretty much who leaked it. It just seems rather odd.
To make shit up about me, about Jingo.
I never got the chance to talk to Jingo.
We never accused anyone publicly of this. We brought you in a call in good faith.
It doesn't matter if it's public or private. You can't accuse people of that shit.
It does. Yes, it does.
No, it fucking doesn't. If you make an allegation against someone, guess what? They have more than enough reason to fucking blast you for it, dumbass.
This makes me think Ollie, maybe he's high in the moment, isn't a very good investigator, and keeping it quiet until you know if something's happening or worth talking about is sort of the basics of this.
It's not an accusation.
If you make a false allegation, then anybody involved has every right to basically roast you for getting the details wrong.
Exactly.
We brought the other side to talk to you.
But we don't know if they got the details wrong at all.
What the fuck is Tipster doing? What the fuck is Tommy C doing? People who are making money off of these allegations against Craig. I'm not defending Craig, defending Slug. I'm just saying that they're hypocrites. They're hypocrites. They're saying you're clout chasing, yet they're the ones making the most money, the most views, and the most subscribers off of these allegations. This isn't about whether or not Slug is clout chasing. This is about they don't like Slug, therefore Slug bad, everything Slug do bad.
Honestly, just because somebody makes money off of a situation or exposing said situation doesn't mean it should take away from the fact that they still reported the situation, they brought factual evidence, and basically they put their own channel at risk just to expose it.
And mind you that most of the people that were covering it other than Slug were making about their beef with him. They weren't talking about the actual victim. And they're refusing to cover the fact that there's a second victim because Slug broke it. But he's the clout chaser. Okay.
Keep in mind this name for later down the line. It's Hope. There's even less online about Chloe. Might be for the better given how sensitive she seems to be. And I don't want her to claim that this video is some form of harassment. Not that I sure she would do that, but you never know with these types of people. Bringing up Chloe, let's get into her claims against I Cthulu. Chloe admits she doesn't have evidence for the first claim at all, which will become much more evident down the line. Chloe also uses the word scam incorrectly just to frame I Cthulu's actions in the worst possible light. But most of the rest of these, like with the first one, she can't actually prove, like backpedaling, running away in situations you caused, or guilt tripping your friends after suffering the consequences, blah blah blah. All those seem more like personal grievances than anything else. And I am sure within a group like that, these would have stacked up. And I'm not even going to get into the whole lore of Draco the Femboy. Just know that's a figure from Hellcast Rogues Gallery or whatever they want to make up in their minds about their personal crusade online. Just highlights how personal and tribalistic this particular conflict is. Still, the best way to understand most of this, and because it isn't clearly explained in either thread, we have to switch over to a little site called Kiwi Farms, where the catalyst for this group call out of I Cthulu seems to stem from. Quick rundown of Kiwi Farms for anyone not in the know. It's pretty much gossip site that has a very loose TOS and a lot of no language that you'll get banned from other places outside of the site for saying. Little funny, given there is someone sort of related to this case who did get banned off the site. So on this Kiwi Farms thread, there's someone I'll be just calling Hope. You know, the person I said, keep in mind for later down the line from Ollie's only non-gaming related Twitch stream that it was still sort of clipped and kept on his profile. Let's start with the post that seemed to have kicked this all off from the profile that Chloe makes clear in her thread that it is her. Although I can't be certain with anything with these people.
I can hopefully answer your questions by relaying my own experience up to when we disbanded. Did we have pedophiles in Hellcast? 100% I won't lie about that, and it isn't something I am proud of in the slightest. When I joined Hellcast, I had no idea who these people were, nor the things they were accused of at the time, since I wasn't really on Twitter or in this community at all. I was completely blindsided by Ollie when it came to the people that was brought in, and I really don't like making excuses for myself. Saying I didn't play a part would be completely false. I took everything at face value instead of looking into the people we were bringing in at the time and keeping my guard up. This all being said, Ollie had told us that his reason for doing all of it was for the sake of GAIOPS. He wanted to get the pedophiles to trust us so we would end up getting information. However, sometimes that was not always the case, and we wouldn't get any info. Draco the Femboy was invited at the time because he was dating Binks, It's Sexney Zero's victim, 17 at the time, and was used for information regarding NieR Zero. I had no idea that Draco was a pedophile until after he was banned from the server for being a pedophile. It makes me sick to my stomach that we possibly allowed grooming within the Hellcast servers for the sake of getting information, even though the information on Draco was apparently widespread on Twitter. According to various tweets that occurred before Hellcast's involvement, Nova was invited multiple times to the servers, and I knew very little of her at the time until after I banned her from the Hellcast servers, as well as blocking her on all of my socials at the time. Nova pulled a Nova and began to spurg the fuck out on Twitter. Then it led to Nova telling Draco that we had filed police reports on him. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure why Ollie invited Nova. Like, I don't remember ever being told specifically why she was here or what information Ollie was trying to get out of her at all. Hellcast did disband due to infighting, and a lot of stuff was getting leaked out to the public before we could even have grips on the situation. I was genuinely frustrated with the situation within Hellcast and decided to exit for my own sake. One of our staff members did turn out to be a confirmed pedophile, though I'm not entirely sure of all the details regarding that incident. The details to me are very vague, but it was recently discussed on Twitter by various accounts.
Shortly after that post, that I thought it would be funny to be read by that particular AI voice that I used there, someone else brings up I Cthulu by name and two particular alts that he used while being on the farms. I'm only going to be reading the lead up to the big event if I think it's going to be needed going forward or something funny to comment on. So pause and read on your own if you want the full context for all this schizo, brain dead crap out here. I won't be linking it, but I will link the two X threads also in the description down below. Who knows if they're going to stay around after this. What was this gay op and what was he trying to do? Was he even successful? What information were you guys trying to attain? And can you elaborate on Draco being in multiple Hellcast servers? Are you saying he had access to all these servers where you guys were looking into potential pedos? Who was the pedophile? And we have some answers to that. Schizo baghead, which I'll try to read in a feminine voice. What did Carlos do that lead him to being kicked out multiple times? Blah, blah, blah. Chloe goes with my memory was hazy. I was trying to do this with a feminine voice. But I believe he was causing an issue with other people in the Discord, including multiple Hellcast members. That was something about Carlos. Answer 2. What is this gay op and what was he trying to do? Successful, stuff like that. At the time, Draco, the femboy, was accused of being a pedophile with proof he already existed and circulated on Twitter. This was unknown to me at the time. However, we never really gained any new information on Draco. And in the end, I wound up just re-editing and re-uploading pictures of blah, blah, blah. So to the what information, blah, 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 we were trying to attain proof that someone was apparently dating someone else who was 17 at the time. Why also dated a Hellcast member named Celeste. Not only was Neo apparently dating blah, 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 lots of interpersonal drama. Nova was given the same treatment before we had her banned. Who was the pedophile? The pedophile goes by the name of Celeste. So you were trying to attain proof was someone was fucking trying to date a 17-year-old while dating an actual pedophile. I don't take this person's claim that someone's a pedophile. They say Celeste. She recently rebranded all this stuff, the Twitter account, blah, 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 link, link, link. Oh, here's a turbo sped says, why is your leader, Ali, banning Carlos for going after and doxing a pedo? I think we banned Carlos for doxing Gordy, specifically because we told Carlos to stop because he is associating with us at the time. He was publicly doxing Gordy on the Twitter. Blah, blah, blah. No idea who Gordy was. Yes, performative ignorance or just straight up ignorance. Great way to be in a pedo hunting group. Carlos was banned from Hellcast and beef with your group multiple times. Why the fuck? Yes, Carlos was banned one time prior when he doxed Gordy, blah, blah, blah. Ollie seems very forgiving of its hope, considering the fact that the shroom, or however they say that word, sabotaged his group's attempt at getting Draco arrested over a Discord ban. He also loves taking credit for other people's work, and that link doesn't work. So I don't know what that's referring to. But then they go on making fun of I Cthulu. Imagine getting hunted by this motherfucker. This post by Holmes is probably what I Cthulu was talking about with the second dox. More that it led to his second dox. Or not. I don't fucking know. I think it's a stupid thing to even bring up. But I think a lot of this stuff is stupid, and I doubt I would be friends with any people in this Hellcast or Slug's Discord server, given what little I know about them. I don't really think it was that initial post. That was just the start. The Chloe post, probably this, the sharing of DMs, that probably really set I Cthulu off. It's sort of funny that I Cthulu, get the name drop. Look, it's blah, 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 was on to something when he brought out like this here from Turbo Spad, who is suspected to be someone who's friends with Hellcast, I guess. But that's just a rumor. Looks like this Vaseline motherfucker, I'm not going to learn to pronounce that stupid ass name, was on to something when he brought up how some of the Hellcast members, like I Cthulu here, isn't he so special he gets the name drop by Chloe, completely anonymous still, I guess. Same in a lot of the screenshots that is sort of put out there. So pretty much it's pretty confirmed that Chloe gave DMs of her, Ali, and I Cthulu with another member that I have no fucking clue who it is. Something about the Enclave, so don't think highly of them if they want to put the Enclave in their name, but that's just me. So it wasn't just the docs, it was more about this that was sort of linked to his own personal thoughts on the thread where he was doxxed by someone who ended up getting so infamous on Kiwi Farms, he got his own thread and was banned by Null himself. Null's the head honcho of Kiwi Farms. And maybe for this particular thing, I don't know what to make sense of this. I just know a lot of people think sharing DMs with others isn't a great thing, especially worse if Chloe even hinted that the person she gave these DMs to, unless she did this herself, is sort of weird. It's highly likely the sharing of the DMs was the thing that really set I Cthulu off on Chloe. All because she wanted to be a big girl and join the Kiwi Farms thread. And once that seemed like a mistake, admitting to having pedophiles in your group and your failures, someone came along to be her white knight and take the heat off of her by giving the schizo losers, similar to Angry Canadian, a scapegoat in Rancid Goat Fucker, aka I Cthulu. Well, I believe that's enough info to start connecting all this nonsense to Himpleton and his Discord. To do that, let me go over just some of my DMs with the mod who actually looked into these claims initially.
Someone from a server he was in talks to someone else on Kiwi Farms. They start looking into the leader who makes a new server and bans Act from the old one with no chance to explain himself. A day later, someone who was his friend for years bans him from Slug server and blocks him. 4 days later, a fake parody account makes scamming claims. 4 days later, a drive is released. 2 days later, they enter Himpleton server to run Ike out by turning everyone on him. It works. Well, I did cause I knew the origins, etc., and H would ignore all my findings, even before I got the redacted that I got by talking like a normal human as opposed to making a VC where the accusers mog him. You don't go from saying you'll always be someone's friend to blocking them in 2 days unless this was planned or you are shown something not public.
If you don't have clout, people tend to cut you loose, in my experience, for the smallest things. There's even some cases where it seems like if a certain person is asking questions, they will try to find something unrelated to hit them with to discredit them.
In this case, my research was responded to with "we heard both sides, I don't understand why you're digging deeper LOL, and unless hearing one side in tears due to what was happening counts as hearing their side, we didn't. I spoke to him one-on-one, and now the scamming claims look like BS. Oh, all that came from Himpleton, mind you, and yet me doing my research is being gaslit LUL. Between the group's goal was to chase I Cthulu off the net, they said as such on the fake account.
That's disappointing to hear. I've never been a fan of just listen and believe. This is why I'm skeptical of claims being made with little to no evidence and only backed up by emotional arguments.
He offered to pay some back on multiple occasions. She said no. She'd use gifts, birthday presents as proof of scamming. She bought Minecraft Deluxe for herself, but gifted to an alt with his name. All this cause I dug deeper.
All of that seems pretty solid if you have evidence of it. I'm just confused what counter evidence was provided.
The drive was the initial stuff. B2, the Chloe stuff happened because he tried to warn her that she could be in legal trouble too. She took this as victim blaming. He apologized. She accepted, then tried to say he backpedaled, has its own folder. It and the "if I saw her, I'd be in prison," said in anger, not meant, were resolved privately. Until the drive came out, keep in mind he has a condition that causes him to have an extra chromosome, XXY not XY, which is why he gets overly emotional at times. That and profound, complicated grief. The "please talk to me" was redacted and had been friends with him for at least 2 years.
It does look like a complete shit show. Looking into these matters, I'm not even sure what to make of it. I also tried to make sense of the Kiwi Farms thread that came up. There's a reason I don't do gay ops. Once someone admits to things like that, at least personally for me, I double up my skepticism towards any claim that those people make. And if I'm understanding what I'm reading right now, that seems like something Ollie admits to doing.
The Blaine stuff.
Huh, what?
So, at one point, he tried to throw Icthultu under the bus, and all the others are using the Blaine stuff as Icth defending a pedo, even though the defense was before he did any of that stuff.
I mean, I Cthulu is clearly unstable and does a fair amount of e-begging, but if he's doing things for them, I think that might make sense why they would have to.
Oh, one more point. After their mole, who posted uncensored screenshots, got banned, and Icth called the group out for giving an actual pedo, Draco the Femboy, more of a chance to explain himself than him they added a fourth claim on. Almost like they were panicking.
It's sad no one's probably gonna touch this, but with this morale stuff, that led me into talking to name Redacted. It makes sense people don't want you and Redacted talking about it.
Oh, I had left Himpleton's server by the time the MROW stuff happened, see due to how the VC was done, how Himpleton ignored evidence and a warning, and the fact he was friends with one of the accusers, I suspected he was in on it, so I called him out and left. He said it was 2 weeks ago, when the mole was removed the day before.
I thought morale was weird, but I've learned dealing with guys like this is annoying as all hell, and generally not worth the headache.
And Himpleton's sweeping for him.
That does seem to be the case.
Oh sure, sweep for the guy who has done legitimately weird stuff, then ignore when another person who helped run your server when you were away gets accused and they haven't spoken to me about talking about Mimrao. Since I blocked them, don't want them trying to trick me into thinking I was gaslit into digging deeper lol.
I can understand. This is why I don't get too close to people trying to grow their channel, especially in commentary.
When the VC occurred, I was on the accuser's side, more confusion than anything. Then saw the holes, so started digging deeper, turned neutral, then spoke to Icth and got more info than ever. But Icth was helping her out. A lot. They claimed he lied about his mother's death and his roommate having fibromyalgia. Didn't give proof, nor did they give any proof in the open of the Blaine stuff, despite it coming up in the drive and being 2 out of the 7 initial claims.
And for all of those who made it to the end here, I'm going to be addressing one last point that gets brought up in Chloe's X thread. This stuff about Blaine, Gavin, blah, blah, blah was explained in another post that was in the Blaine thread from 3 years ago. So whoever this is in this particular screenshot trying to guilt trip I Cthulu didn't do their research. You can pause and research this post from the person we know now as I Cthulu about his experience with 2 of these lolcows, Blaine and Canadian, and the shit he had to deal with. And you can believe him or not with this particular thing here. I make no particular mention the innocence or guilt of I Cthulu here, but all of this seems like some serious ass dumb stuff. I'm just highlighting this to say Chloe brings up all this old drama to add to the new, because I guess she didn't think the scam claim would hold enough weight without all this other stuff and without the sort of hyping it up as worse than it is. And if you are to believe the mod I talked to, some of those things are completely trumped up. And definitely without context, even from that thread. And I always find it shitty when old friends start crying harassment when they completely disassociate from someone they used to be cool with. Seriously, second time, thought it was a 3 strikes out, then you can make a claim. But you know what? Short tempers on these people, apparently. As I think it's highlighted from a lot of things, at least for Ollie. Don't know about Chloe again. And the same can be said about I Cthulu. I mean, who brings up all this stuff and doesn't expect someone to get angry about that? Sharing of DMs, all this other crap. Then when I Cthulu finally calmed down and tries to clarify with the people that he sadly thought as friends for apparently at least 2 years, just to have them turn around and send those DMs to Chloe so she could weaponize it against him in her X thread. Yeah, I Cthulu really got fucked here. Did he deserve it or not? I'm not going to judge that, because I'm sure there's plenty of criticism I could give to I Cthulu, but it seems fairly clear to me Chloe and Ollie just wanted to burn the bridge cleanly, have a scapegoat for their own failures, which I'm sure I Cthulu played a part in. I don't know how much. Too closed lips there. But they want to place all the blame on him for some particular reason. Human nature, human psychology. They can never be at fault. That's how some people operate. And not have I Cthulu try to fight back against the claims. Maybe she's just too dumb to understand the clarification or too angry to care. Not a mind reader. I can only speculate on what I think is the case. Getting back into the Himpleton stuff, given some of the ties Himpleton currently has, burn the world, claim that he's friends with someone who's in on this, maybe a couple of them. I definitely saw a few people retweet this from the sort of flatly, whatever, crappy gaming sort of talking thing there. But that's weak circumstantial evidence. I really don't know what happens behind the scenes. Not totally on their fault. That's what most of the dipshit commentary community does. Is it right? Is it wrong? Who am I to judge? But doesn't mean I won't actually report on things that I know about. And most of this is just what I could publicly find and put together to get one of the little puzzle pieces that I'm going for here. And I don't have all the pieces to this stupid ass puzzle. Maybe I never will. I'm just trying to lay it out in an interesting fashion, see what I can find, and try to make sense of it in the hope it'll give me clues of where the other pieces that I'm seeing, while at the same time trying to search for other missing pieces that are out there in the hope that I will be able to find them. The next string I'm going to try to unravel is the mystery referred to as the ARG incident that went down in Himpleton's Discord that's related to a certain stream they had. The irony of that isn't lost on me. Augmented reality game. That feels like what I'm trying to play here, but with commentary shitters. So the threat isn't going to be something scary like Slender Man or something like that. The worst I got is a group like Hellcat. Will they come back up? I don't know. Heard a rumor that one of the victims of the infamous vampire werewolf that Mama Max failed to catch might be in on their group. But again, just rumors for those of you who stayed at the end. Who knows with this increasingly stupid RPG-like drama that most people aren't gonna give a damn about. With that said, I'm done for now.